Every time the girl asks her online boyfriend to meet up, her boyfriend always says he is a monster from a horror game. But what monster acts coquettishly and begs for kisses, and even video calls her every day to lull her to sleep? Until later, the girl was selected to enter a horror game. The terrifying and perverted final boss pinned her under him. "Baby, do you believe me now?" My boyfriend turned off his phone again. Every once in a while, he turns off his phone and goes completely off the grid. On the first day of school, the girl couldn't stand it anymore. "Babe, you disappear for days every time. Are you seeing someone else? Are you going to break up with me?" "No, I will never ever break up with my baby." Hearing the wronged, teary voice on the other end of the line, the man panicked and started comforting her hurriedly. "It's all my fault. I made you angry, baby. Don't cry, don't cry. You can hit me, scold me, do whatever you want." Shonan rubbed her eyes. Her eye sockets were bright red. "Fine, then come to see me right now, so I can hit you and scold you." The moment meeting up was mentioned, the other end of the line went silent again. After a long while, he stammered, "Baby, it's not that I don't want to see you. It's just that I really can't." Shangnan had heard this kind of excuse many times before. She didn't want to hear it anymore. "Let's break up. I don't want a boyfriend I can't see or touch." Shangnan hung up the phone. She turned her head and stubbornly wiped away the tears in her eyes. Right at that moment, a harsh screech of brakes rang out. The next second, the school bus swerved as if to avoid something and crashed out of control towards the roadside. Shangnan was caught by her seatbelt and didn't get thrown out. Amid the deafening explosion, she thought she was going to die. The second before she lost consciousness, an invisible big hand appeared out of thin air, wrapped around her slim waist, lifted her gently from the seat, and pulled her into its embrace. A familiar murmur sounded by her ear, "Baby, I've come for you." As she regained consciousness, a cold system voice rang in Shangnan's head. "Welcome, player, to the instance, Rose Castle. Clearance conditions: successfully survive for 7 days or complete the client's task." Shangnan shivered and saw clearly where she was. The school bus and her classmates were nowhere to be seen. She was sitting at a long dining table with a group of strangers. The candles on the table flickered on and off, making everyone's face look extremely ghastly. No one dared to make a sound. Shangnan wondered how she had suddenly ended up here, but the weird atmosphere made her too scared to ask. After a long time, the man sitting near the head of the table pushed his glasses. "You mean your father was murdered? And his head is missing. You hope we can help you get it back? Is that right?" "Yes." A crisp child's voice came from the head of the table. Only then did Shangnan notice the little boy wearing a neat formal suit. "My parents were both murdered. To let their souls rest in peace. They absolutely can't be buried with incomplete remains. You are the detectives I hired. Finding a head is such a small thing. It shouldn't be a problem, right?" The little boy had curly blonde hair. His eyes were turquoise. He looked extra cute when he spoke, but the words he said somehow made the surrounding air drop several degrees. No problem. Before the man with glasses could stop him, a tall, thin man sitting opposite him agreed. Seeing this, the man with glasses frowned. "In horror games, you can't promise things randomly just because the NPC doesn't look scary. If you trigger a death mechanism by accident, you won't even know how you died. Then I'll trouble all of you." The little boy smiled, showing 2 dimples. He turned to the butler behind him and told him to have the kitchen serve food. "We need to treat the distinguished guests well tonight." Maybe it was her imagination. For a split second, Shangnan saw that the little boy's teeth were jagged, the kind that can crush bones. Her heart trembled with fear. Soon, several chefs came over and placed the dishes in front of each player one by one. Before Shangnan could see what was on the plate, she heard the sound of someone retching beside her. "This is so disgusting. What is this? Is this really edible?" The meat on the plate was bright red and still twitching. The fishy stench was so strong it made people choke. The wine glass placed aside was filled with bright red liquid. It didn't look like wine. The little boy seemed very satisfied with their scared reactions. His expression turned a little malicious. "Don't you like it? Hurry up and eat. No leftovers allowed. What will happen if we don't finish it?" A girl mustered up the courage to ask. The little boy tilted his head and looked at her. "Anyone who wastes food is a bad kid. They have to be punished. Turn into food and get eaten by everyone." The girl trembled all over. She gritted her teeth, picked up the knife and fork, and swallowed the meat whole. Then she put on a miserable face. "I finished eating." Then the little boy turned his big eyes to Shangnan. "Aren't you going to eat?" Shangnan took a deep breath, slowly cut the meat with her knife, "I'm eating." She had just finished speaking, when Shangnan suddenly noticed something moving inside the meat. An eye popped out from inside, staring right at Shangnan at close range. She was so scared that her knife and fork fell to the ground, making a crisp clattering sound. The little boy looked like he had found a mistake. He rubbed his hands excitedly and looked at Shangnan. "You are very pretty. You must taste super delicious too." Shangnan watched the butler walk towards her step by step. She was wondering if she ran out from here, whether she could survive, when several abrupt knocks came from outside the door. "Who is it?" The little boy was annoyed at having his fun interrupted. He frowned and looked over. The butler, who was only 2 steps away from Shangnan, turned around and opened the door. The next second, he looked like he had seen something terrifying. His pupils shrank sharply. He turned his head. "Young master, it's your uncle. Bailey Wuxi is here." "When did I ever have an uncle?" The boy Curiel paused mid-sentence. His face twisted for a moment. Then he corrected himself stiffly. "Right, I do have an uncle." "Let him in." Hearing this, the man with glasses Ling Chong frowned tightly. "Didn't they say this instance only has one boss? Where did Curiel get an uncle? Is this randomly appeared NPC a new boss?" Ling Chong's face was grave. A double boss instance would be way harder than C rank. The death rate would increase drastically. With the sound of clicking footsteps, a tall and straight-backed man soon came into the player's view. After everyone saw him, a trace of surprise flashed in their eyes. If the little boy was delicately cute, this NPC's appearance was simply unbelievably handsome. After the man narrowed his eyes and scanned everyone in the dining room, his gaze landed on Shangnan. He stared for a few seconds. A suspicious blush immediately appeared on his face. Shangnan's crow-feather eyelashes trembled slightly. She looked behind the man and found he had no shadow. As if he had noticed something, Bailey Wuxi frowned in annoyance. A wisp of black mist emerged from under his feet. Shangnan thought her eyes were playing tricks on her. She saw the shadow behind the man was now sitting obediently on the ground. She slowly let out a breath of relief. She comforted herself that she was too stressed and had an illusion. But the next second, when she looked up and accidentally made eye contact with the man, the breath she hadn't fully exhaled caught in her throat again. What a terrifying gaze. It looked like he wanted to eat her alive. Shangnan's heart was pounding like a drum. She hurriedly looked away. She bent down to pick up the cutlery to hide her nervousness. She can't die here. She worked her fingers to the bone to get into college. She hasn't even started college yet. What's more, she hasn't even met her online boyfriend in person. That breakup message was just said in a fit of anger. She has to survive and go back to clear things up with him face to face. That bastard gave Shangnan a death stare. All the players were holding their breath for her. At the same time, they were relieved they had quickly finished all the meat on their plates. But no one noticed the dark glint flashing in the man's eyes. It was fanatical and obsessed. "Uncle, you take the seat of honor." All the mischief vanished from Curiel's face. He called out obediently. His tone was even a little fawning. The housekeeper hurried forward to change the tableware. "No need." Bailey Wuxi walked over to the seat next to Shangnan. His long, slender fingers tapped on the back of the chair. "I'll sit here." The player whose seat he had chosen hurriedly stood up to offer him the seat. Bailey Wuxi glanced at the food on the plate. "Bring me the same dish as hers." After picking up the cutlery, Shangnan stared at the eyeball on her plate. The two stared at each other for seconds. "If you love eating that much, you can have my portion for all I care." She didn't want to eat it anyway. Not eating means death, but eating doesn't guarantee you'll survive either. Shangnan sighed in resignation. She cut off a piece of red meat. She opened her mouth numbly with no will to live. A faint gaze from beside her locked onto her soft pink lips. The meat that was about to enter her mouth suddenly seemed to have a will of its own. It wiggled off the fork, slid down the tablecloth and hid under the table. Even the eyeball on the plate had vanished without a trace. She took a big bite. Shangnan chomped down. Her warm lips touched ice-cold fingertips. Shangnan's almond eyes flew wide open in shock. She turned her head and saw the man's face was dark and menacing. Dangerous aura swirled in his cold, icy eyes. He looked seriously furious. Shangnan flinched. She loosened her teeth and spat his finger out. Then she wiped her mouth. She cowered back timidly, terrified the man would strangle her to death on the spot. But Bailey Wuxi didn't do anything to her. He looked down, hidden by the tablecloth, and stroked the faint bite mark on his fingertip. Before he could control himself, his human finger suddenly turned black. The mycelium wriggled excitedly, wanting to get close to her. It drifted toward Shangnan. Bailey Wuxi frowned. He stopped the mycelium. and warned it with a look. The mycelium reluctantly turned back into a finger. Bailey Wussy snapped it hard and broke off the part with the bite mark. Then he put it in his pocket to keep. After dinner, they started assigning rooms. There were 6 male and 6 female players in total. Everyone agreed that 2 people would share one room, so they could look out for each other. "I don't want to share a room with her," said Li Qian, who was assigned to room with Shang Nan. "Don't get me wrong, I don't mean anything bad by it." At the dinner table, you caught the NPC's attention. "I haven't entered this game many times. I'm scared I won't be able to protect you. You should room with someone more capable." Li Qian's words sounded perfectly reasonable, but anyone with half a brain knew he was just afraid Shang Nan would get him into trouble. "It's fine, I can stay alone." Shang Nan wasn't stupid. She didn't push it after being rejected. Lin Chong gave her a long, deep look and said nothing. "Girls stay on the left, boys stay on the right." Curiel, who was bouncing a ball, led them up to the 3rd floor. He pointed at the rooms. "Do you really want to share rooms? Sleeping alone is way more comfortable." "Thanks, but we prefer having company." Ling Chong, the guy with glasses, had quietly become the leader of the players. "That's a real shame." Curiel's soft little face smacked his lips. "Let me give you a heads up. This villa is really isolated. Some small animals might sneak in at night. Lock your doors tight after 12 p.m. and don't come out, so you don't run into something you shouldn't. Also, don't go to the 2nd floor. My brother is unwell and needs to rest. Don't disturb him no matter what." With that, Curiel tilted his head up and gave a sweet smile. "So I'm counting on you to find my dad's head as soon as possible. If you run out of time, I'll have to find a new head to put on his body." After giving the warning, Curiel bounced his ball and headed further upstairs. But when he reached the stairwell corner, the ball suddenly slipped out of his hand, rolled all the way to where the players were standing. He yelped softly. He asked politely, "Can you pick that up for me?" "Of course." Sun Yue, the tall, thin man, bent down to pick it up first. He wanted to make a good impression, so he wouldn't be the first one to die. "You're such a nice person. God will bless you." Curiel took the ball and headed upstairs cheerfully. Once the NPC left, the players immediately relaxed. Ling Chong organized the male players to assign their rooms, but the female players ran into a problem. He couldn't actually let Shang Nan stay alone. Curiel had clearly said, there would be danger at night. "If you stay alone, you'll probably be the first one to die tonight." Luckily, a woman named Dong Mai spoke up. "I'll room with Shang Nan." Shang Nan looked at her in surprise. Everyone thought she was a danger magnet and would cause trouble. But Dong Mai was willing to share a room with her. "All right, that's settled then." Lin Ju nodded. "Come to my room once you're settled in. I'll explain the game rules to you." Ling Chong had a gentle, scholarly air about him. There was an inexplicably convincing quality to his words. Li Tian and his roommate picked the innermost room first. The other 2 female players took the middle rooms. Only the room near the stairs was left. Dong Mai pushed the door open. Don't blame them. Everyone looks out for themselves in a place like this. You can't really fault them for it. But when danger comes, you don't have to be too kind either. Shang Nan blinked. "I thought you'd tell me to be kind. Kind people die the fastest here." With that, Dong Mai walked into the bathroom. After making sure no weird stuff would pop out of there, she leaned over the toilet and threw up violently. After she finished throwing up, Dong Mai came out of the bathroom. Shang Nan handed her a towel. Only then did she notice that Dong Mai's left leg seemed a little lame. Dong Mai didn't take offense. She said frankly, "Polio. I've had multiple surgeries, but none of them worked very well. But after I entered the horror game, I can exchange points for better health. I'm pretty satisfied with how I am now." Shang Nan caught the key information immediately. But what surprised her most was Dong Mai had entered the game on her own initiative. After tidying up briefly, they decided to go find Ling Chong to ask about the situation. As they were about to leave the room, Shang Nan noticed out of the corner of her eye that the window wasn't fully closed, so she slowed down to close it. There were a lot of roses planted in the yard. They climbed all over the entire wall. A few of them had poked through the window. Shang Nan had just pushed the flowers back outside, when eyes suddenly opened up in the middle of the flower cores. They stared up and down at Shang Nan. The flower stems trembled with excitement. "What's wrong?" Dong Mai asked, leaning against the doorframe. "Nothing." Shang Nan looked down and locked the window tight. Then she left the room. The roses started scrambling to hit the glass. When they realized they couldn't get in, they all wilted and drooped their heads dejectedly. Soon everyone gathered in Ling Chong's room, listening to his explanation. People who are pulled into the horror game We'll keep entering different dungeons to complete missions. You get corresponding points and items when you finish a mission. But if you die in a dungeon, you die in real life too. Xiaoqiang psychs herself up. The clearance condition for this dungeon? Didn't they say we just need to survive for 7 days? We can't find the head of the little boy's father. It should be fine, right? But Du Ziteng doesn't think so. Didn't you hear what Curiel said? If we can't find the head, he'll get a new head for his father. We're the only living people here. Where do you think he'll get it from? Shang Nan shrank her neck when she heard that. She's a woman. It shouldn't be a big problem for her. Just then, Guo Jiaojiao, the girl next to Shang Nan, suddenly looked nervous. When we came over just now, it was before 10 o'clock, right? Shang Nan subconsciously looked at the clock on the wall. Yeah, I remember it was 9:53. She suddenly stopped mid-sentence. It's 11:56, have they been chatting that long? Lin Cheng quickly spotted the problem. He started hurrying everyone along. The time flow here is off. You can't go out after 12 o'clock. You all need to hurry back to your rooms. In the blink of an eye, the minute hand of the clock jumped 2 more small marks. It's 11:58, no time to talk more. Everyone panicked and ran towards their rooms. Shang Nan had just stepped into the room with her front foot. When she felt something trip her from behind, Dong Mai pulled her back just in time and slammed the door shut with a bang. She also turned off the light along the way. Shang Nan vaguely saw that it was already 12 midnight. Outside the door, wisps of black mycelium seeped out of the cracks in the ceiling. They gathered in the corridor and gradually took the shape of a human figure. Go to sleep quickly. You need to recover your strength to deal with tomorrow's stuff. There was only one big bed in the room. Dong Mai picked a side and lay down properly. Shang Nan fumbled her way to the other side. She took off her shoes. She touched the ankle that had been tangled just now. There was no injury, but it felt like something had licked it. She thought it would be super hard to fall asleep in this kind of environment. But Shang Nan fell asleep as soon as her head hit the pillow. She even had a dream. She dreamed that she added a new friend. They hit it off really well when chatting. Even though they hadn't met, she felt her heart race and flutter. So they naturally started dating. Shang Nan didn't have a happy birth family, but her boyfriend treated her really well. No one ever celebrated her birthday for her, but on that day, her boyfriend booked a whole grand fireworks show just for her. The whole sky lit up brilliantly just for her. But her boyfriend refused to meet her. Even threatening to break up didn't work. Shang Nan didn't want to break up. She started sobbing softly. The dark figure standing by her bed paused, the hand that was about to stroke her withdrew helplessly. The dark figure leaned over in a coaxing manner and kissed her wet eye corner. Feeling that the little half-buried face under the quilt was fair and warm and soft, the dark figure couldn't hold back anymore. It squeezed the newly split mycelium a few times happily and took the chance to slip into the quilt. Dong Mai felt the air around her turn cold. She warily opened one eye a crack. She looked around and found nothing unusual, then closed her eyes again. The dark figure that had reformed into a human shape seemed to find her a nuisance and chopped Dong Mai unconscious with a karate chop to the neck. Then it got into the quilt contentedly and wrapped Shang Nan in its arms with tidal waves of mycelium. The mycelium was very restless. Curious, they used their tentacles on Shang Nan's body, touching and prodding everywhere, which made the person in its arms let out a soft whimper. The dark figure got even more excited. It leaned its head down and kissed Shang Nan's lips. The black mycelium instantly turned pink with excitement. The next day, Shang Nan woke up abruptly from her dream. She sat up. She exhaled heavily and inhaled fresh air deeply. The quilt slid off her body. Shang Nan looked down. Her expression froze for a few seconds. Did she take off her clothes when she went to sleep last night? And on her arm, what are these red marks on her legs? Was she attacked by a ghost last night? She just slept too deeply to notice it, but the ghost didn't even kill her. Shang Nan marveled at how lucky she was. While putting on her clothes and going to the bathroom to wash up, until she looked in the mirror and saw there were also a few red marks on her neck. Shang Nan realized it later. That's not what happened. Why do these marks look more and more like hickeys? Shang Nan's cheeks flushed bright red. Her whole body was sore. It felt like she had been held and slept in someone's arms all night. Could Sister Dong Mai have done this? Just then, the sound of someone getting up came from outside. Shang Nan finished washing up quickly and pulled her collar up higher. She opened the bathroom door. Dong Mai saw her and greeted her first. I don't know what's going on. I feel like someone hit me on the back of the head with a stick. My neck hurts so bad. Watching Dong Mai stretch her neck, Shang Nan seemed even more sure of her guess. Even Sister Dongmai is not feeling well. Could it really be what she thought? Li Qian was afraid of danger and wouldn't live with her. But Sister Dongmai was kind enough to protect her. So the affection she has for her is that kind of romantic liking? So Shangnan tentatively asked Sister Dongmai, "Did you sleepwalk last night?" "No, I'm a very heavy sleeper. I never move around when I sleep." Dongmai had no idea what wild drama was playing out in Shangnan's head. Seeing her face all red, she asked concernedly, "Are you not feeling well either?" But Shangnan twisted her fingers and didn't dare to look at Dongmai. "Sister Dongmai, I have a boyfriend." Dongmai's face was full of question marks when she heard that, but she still nodded politely and replied, "Oh, nice. I have a boyfriend too. We're getting married soon. After we get out of here alive, let's add each other as friends. I'll send you a wedding invitation then." Hearing this, Shangnan realized what stupid thing she had been thinking. Her face turned even redder. But if Sister Dongmai didn't kiss her, who else could it be? Before she could figure it out, the sound of a mirror breaking came from the bathroom. Dongmai, who had gone in to wash up, came out with a tight face. "Shangnan, did you see anything in the mirror just now?" No, Shangnan's heart skipped a beat. She looked towards the bathroom, but the angle she was standing at couldn't see the mirror. Hearing that, Dongmai breathed a sigh of relief. "Good thing you didn't see it. There was something dirty on the mirror, so I broke it. It's best not to lock the door when you go to the bathroom from now on. If something happens, you'll get trapped easily." Shangnan nodded obediently like a good kid. Dongmai paused in her steps and noticed something. Her expression became meaningful. "Little Nan, are you trying to trick me? First you asked if I sleepwalk. Then you specifically mentioned you have a boyfriend. Are you suspecting that these hickeys on your neck were from me?" Shangnan's little secret was exposed right to her face. She felt so embarrassed she wanted to disappear. She apologized pitifully. "Looks like there's more than one ghost in this villa. There's also a pervert ghost." Dongmai raised an eyebrow. "The pervert ghost has pretty good taste. It knows to kiss the prettiest one." Shangnan was about to cry. She asked in a trembling voice, "Did a ghost really kiss me?" 80% sure something got into the room last night." Dongmai thought her neck pain was also caused by the ghost. "Looks like we haven't triggered the death condition yet. The ghost can't kill us. But you've definitely been targeted by the ghost." As soon as Dongmai finished speaking, a sudden scream came from outside. Someone is dead. Right now, the doorway of Lin Chong and Sun Yue's room was full of people. Seeing Dongmai and Shangnan coming over, the chubby Du Ziteng stepped aside to make room. He lowered his voice and said the scream was from Wang Tongtong. They didn't close the window in their room last night. The rose flowers attacked Wang Tongtong. She came to look for Lin Chong, only to find Sun Yue was dead. Lin Chong clamped a hand over Wang Tongtong's mouth firmly. He forced a faint smile. "She's talking nonsense. Don't believe her, Sun Yue." When Sun Yue turned around, Shangnan finally saw what was going on clearly. The tall and thin man was indeed Sun Yue, but his head had been severed from his body. It was stitched back together with thread. The stitching work was very rough, so it looked like an ugly centipede. Crawling on his neck, Sun Yue stared stiffly at Wang Tongtong, who had collapsed on the ground. A hoarse chuckle came from his throat. "Why did you say I'm not human?" He hasn't realized he's dead yet. We must make him firmly believe he's still human. Otherwise, he might go on a killing spree. Doubai noticed the Shonan looked unwell, so he pulled her behind his back. "Don't look." At Lin Chong's reminder, Wang Tongtong spoke tremblingly. "I'm sorry, brother Sun. I haven't woken up properly this morning. That was just sleep talk." "Oh, okay, I forgive you then." With that, Sun Yue directly dug out his eyeball, stuffed it into his mouth and chewed. "I'm so hungry. When are we going to have breakfast?" Lin Chong's expression remained unchanged. "You go first. We'll stay here to teach Wang Tongtong a lesson. Make her stop making random jokes. Then we'll come find you right away." Hearing that, Sun Yue staggered out of the door. The next second, Wang Tongtong burst into tears in Lin Chong's arms. As for Dongman, she quickly cleaned up all the bloodstains in the room. Then she asked what had happened. Sun Yue must have triggered the death condition. Lin Chong sighed. "I chose to share a room with him last night on purpose, to keep him safe, but I didn't even see how he died. The outcome wasn't changed." "What's the death condition?" Dongmai pressed. Lin Chong guessed it's agreeing to Curiel's requests, or touching his ball. Li Chen, standing nearby, nodded in agreement. "That's definitely it." Sun Yue was too eager to show off. Curiel probably thought he would be a strong helper, so he killed him. Hearing this, Shangnan raised a question. "But he's just a little boy. How could he do it without making any sound?" To kill Sun Yue, who is so much taller and stronger than him. Li Qian curled her lip irritably. Haven't you ever watched horror movies? Little ghost kids like this are always the hardest to deal with. Shang Nan could feel Li Qian didn't like her, but she didn't care much. Nan's guess makes some sense. Dongman spoke up. Sun Yue was beheaded, and our mission is to find the head of Curiel's father. These two things are similar to some extent. Dongman continued calmly. Why can't it be Curiel's father who killed Sun Yue? Do you mean that besides the kid ghost in this villa, his father is also a ghost? Zhao Hui, who shared a room with Du Ziting, rubbed his arms. Sis, don't scare me like that. Has anyone ever seen Curiel's father? Li Qian assumed Dongman was deliberately contradicting her. To stand up for Shang Nan, she snorted. Brother Lin has already figured out the death conditions. No matter which one is real, none of them have anything to do with Curiel's father, right? Lin Chong, who had just bandaged Wang Tongtong's wounds, stood up. He made a decision. Let's split up then. We'll investigate both leads at the same time. It will be much faster, but you must pay attention. Don't agree to any of Curiel's requests. Don't touch his ball. And above all, don't let Sun Yue find out he's dead. Li Qian wanted to stay alive, so she rushed to team up with Lin Chong. The slower ones were assigned to Dong Mai's group. Shang Nan was automatically put in Dong Mai's group. She hadn't spoken the whole time. She always felt something was missed by everyone in the whole matter. She walked downstairs while thinking. When she reached the stair corner, Shang Nan was only looking at her feet, so she bumped into someone beside her unexpectedly. An ice-cold hand steadied her. In that instant, Shang Nan felt so cold that her blood was almost frozen. She turned her head abruptly and saw Bailey Wuxi's deep abyss-like eyes. He was gripping her hand tightly. Shang Nan's wrist ached badly. She frowned, but didn't dare ask him to let go. They stood in a stalemate for more than 10 seconds, until Dong Mai walking ahead noticed Shang Nan didn't follow. She turned around and froze for a second when she saw Bailey Wuxi. Then she said with a gentle smile, "Mr. Bailey Wuxi, are you also going downstairs for breakfast?" Shang Nan's wrist was finally freed. She gave Dong Mai a grateful look. "You are scared of me," Bailey Wuxi said to Shang Nan. His eyes were full of confusion. Shang Nan wanted to say she didn't even know if he was human or ghost. Of course she would be scared. But she didn't dare. She could only let out 2 awkward laughs. "Mr. Bailey Wuxi, what makes you think that—" "Don't call me that." Bailey Wuxi lifted his sharply defined jaw. "You have to call me darling." Shang Nan almost slipped at his words. Nearly falling down the stairs. Does this guy even know what darling means? How can he be so frivolous? Shang Nan's gaze darkened. She had only called her boyfriend darling before. She would never give that privilege to this inhuman freak. Dong Mai, who was waiting for Shang Nan, was slightly stunned. She looked at Bailey Wuxi thoughtfully. She strongly suspected that the pervert who snuck a kiss on Shang Nan last night was him. Shang Nan pretended she didn't hear him. She hurried to catch up with Dong Mai. From the corner of her eye, Bailey Wuxi's gaze at her seemed to have a touch of resentment. Was he feeling wronged? She hadn't walked a few steps when someone grabbed Shang Nan by the neck like a little chick. The tall, long-legged Bailey Wuxi stepped across the stairs, walking side by side with her. "You are very cold to me." Shang Nan gritted her teeth. How dare he say that while holding her neck? He should let go first before saying that. She was being threatened. "Stay by my side." Bailey Wuxi let go of her neck and took Shang Nan's hand instead. His big hand wrapped tightly around her small one, leaving her no chance to escape. When everyone saw Shang Nan walking down holding hands with Bailey Wuxi, they were all stunned. They all thought Shang Nan was way too bold. Although they weren't sure if Bailey Wuxi was a ghost, he was indeed an NPC in this instance. How dare she flirt with an NPC? Li Qian looked disdainful, but her eyes were burning with jealousy. Bailey Wuxi is even more handsome than top male celebrities, 100 times better. So what if he's an NPC? Having something happen with him is simply every woman's ultimate dream. If Shang Nan can do it, why can't I? With that thought, Li Qian's gaze at Bailey Wuxi became seductive. Bailey Wuxi noticed that filthy gaze and glared back in disgust. In an instant, a strange and terrifying aura radiated from him. Li Qian felt like someone was choking her throat. Countless ghosts whispered in her ear, wanting to take her life. Li Qian was scared. But Bailey Wuxi was unmoved. The aura emanating from him showed killing her was as easy as stepping on an ant. The temperature in the restaurant dropped sharply. Shang Nan shivered from the cold. She secretly glanced at the ice-cold man beside her, moved her chair a little, trying to stay further away from him. afraid she would be frozen into a block of ice. Noticing her little movement, he withdrew all the terrifying aura he had released. Bailey Wuxi grabbed Xiangnan's chair, pulled her back to his side effortlessly. He wrapped an arm around her waist and lifted her onto his lap to sit. Xiangnan's ear tips flushed bright red with embarrassment. She didn't dare look at Bailey Wuxi. She struggled to get off his lap. Bailey Wuxi brushed his lips lightly against Xiangnan's ear. "Stay by my side. Don't make me say it a third time. Why do you always want to run away? Does he have to break her legs to make her behave?" Bailey Wuxi's dark gaze fell on Xiangnan's legs. He wrapped one hand around her ankle. Xiangnan sensed the killing intent radiating off him. Her heart skipped a beat in panic. She didn't dare move another inch. "Fine, I'll stay by your side. Don't get mad. Breakfast is pasta." Xiangnan sat on Bailey Wuxi's lap the entire time she ate. After she finished, the man picked up a napkin. He wiped the corner of her mouth very naturally. Xiangnan felt like she was Bailey Wuxi's pet. According to their previous plan, Xiangnan was supposed to go with Dong Mai right now, to look for clues about Curiel's father. But Bailey Wuxi showed no intention of letting her go at all. The girl had no choice. She asked softly, trying to negotiate. "Mr. Bailey Wuxi, my friends and I have something to take care of. Can you let me leave for a little while?" Bailey Wuxi was very reluctant, but due to certain restrictions, he could only let her go with a dark look on his face. Curiel, who was sitting in the main seat, shrank back a little. He didn't dare look at him. The second Xiangnan was free, she immediately grabbed Dong Mai and walked out of the restaurant without looking back. Dong Mai saw that Wang Tongtong was in an unstable state. She asked Guo Jiaojiao to take her back to their room. Guo Jiaojiao was only too happy to skip the mission. And just like that, Dong Mai took Xiangnan and Du Ziteng to look for clues. Xiangnan hesitated for a moment on the way. She finally asked the question that had been bugging her. "Sister Dong Mai, do you know Ling Chong?" "You noticed that, huh?" Dong Mai looked at Xiangnan approvingly. She didn't plan on hiding it anyway. "He and I are friends in real life." Du Ziteng asked in surprise, "Then why did he pick Li Qian?" "He didn't pick you. Why did he pick me?" Dong Mai didn't care. "The death condition needs to be verified. We also have to look into Curiel's father. We don't have nearly enough time. The ghost kills people at night. He's never going to let us survive all 7 days." The three of them searched for clues as they talked. Meanwhile, the other players were in big trouble. Curiel cornered them in the restaurant. "You guys have to play a game with me." "What game?" Ling Chong wanted to verify the death condition, so he didn't turn Curiel down outright. "What should we play?" Curiel thought for a second. His eyes lit up. "Got it. How about we play Eagle and Chicks? I'll be the eagle catching all you little chicks." With that, he spread his 5 fingers, making a claw shape. Everyone looked at each other in confusion. No one dared to respond rashly. Then Li Chen spoke up. "Why don't you go play with Xiangnan and the other 2? How can you play with only 3 people?" Curiel got impatient. "There are more of you here. It's more fun. Stop dragging your feet. Hurry up and come to the yard with me, or you'll regret it." Li Qian was still mad that his attempt to frame Xiangnan failed. He was furious inside. "If I'd known, I never would have let so many people tag along. They're not just useless, they're dead weight." The group had no choice but to follow him to the yard. Curiel pointed at Su Ying. "You be the mother hen." "Me?" Su Ying's face went deathly pale. She cowered, not daring to step forward. But Zhao Hui was the first to yank at her clothes. He stood behind her. In the game of Eagle and Chicks, the last chick in the line is the easiest to catch. Hiding behind the mother hen is obviously the safest spot. Li Qian also stood behind Zhao Hui and tried to persuade Su Ying Ying. The mother hen doesn't get caught by the eagle. "You'll be safe." Su Ying was half convinced, half doubtful. "Is that true?" "Yeah, that's exactly how it works," Li Qian said firmly. "I've played this before. Trust me." Curiel waited off to the side. He watched them plot against each other with a wide grin. If the mother hen was really safe, why wouldn't Li Qian be the hen himself? Su Ying just couldn't see through the trick. She believed his words. Xiaoqiang and Chou Yu shared a room. The 2 of them had already made up their minds. They decided to follow Ling Chong's orders and wait for him to make arrangements. When they heard Ling Chong would take the last spot in the line, only then did the 2 of them go stand in the line. The game began. Curiel wore a vicious smile on his face. Meanwhile, Du Ziteng stared at the iron gate tangled with flower branches they couldn't get out. "Looks like we can only look for Curiel's father's head inside the villa. We have no idea what Curiel's father even looks like. We need to find a photo of him when he was alive." As soon as Xiangnan finished speaking, something tripped her from under her feet. Something was glinting in the dark gray dirt. Dongmai bent down to dig it out. She smiled and said, "Little Anan, are you a koi fish reincarnated? Whatever you say comes true." The glinting thing was the glass of a photo frame. The glass was cracked like a spider web. Underneath it was a family photo. Dongmai carefully pried the photo out. Everyone got a clear look at Curiel's parents and older brother. Shangnan said the four of them looked so much alike. Duzitang had trouble telling foreigners apart. Don't all foreigners look pretty similar anyway? But Dongmai frowned and said, "It's normal for the two kids to look alike." But why do the husband and wife look so similar too? Isn't there a saying that couples start to look more alike the longer they're married? Right, Duzitang. He scratched his head. "I'm single." I don't know if that's true or not. Shangnan stared at the photo. An idea popped into her head. I think we need to go meet Curiel's older brother. Hearing this, Duzitang reminded her, aren't we not allowed to go to the second floor? The more forbidden a place is, the more secrets it holds. Dongmai put the photo away, getting ready to tuck it into her pocket. The next second, the photo suddenly burst into flames in her hand. Dongmai quickly shook her hand to fling it off. Looks like we can't bring this thing inside the house. Shangnan felt something suddenly. She whipped her head around to look at the villa. The curtain of a second-floor room was being drawn. Right as she looked over, Shangnan caught a glimpse. It was a gloomy boy sitting in a wheelchair. There was also a tall figure on the fourth floor. Bailey Wuxi was holding a teacup, leaning against the balcony railing, staring intently at Shangnan. When he saw Shangnan looking up at him, he lifted his cup in a small toast. What did you see? Dongmai was a second too slow. She only saw the swaying curtain. Shangnan looked away. It's Curiel's older brother. He's in a wheelchair. Duzitang remembered that the older brother in the photo was perfectly healthy. Time passed quickly. By the time Shangnan and the others headed back, it was already lunchtime. Bailey Wuxi didn't come downstairs for lunch. Shangnan breathed a sigh of relief. Sun Yue ate like he could never get full. He had been eating non-stop in the restaurant all morning. When he saw them come back, he pulled his plate closer to his chest, scared someone would steal his food. Faintly, the stitches on his neck were about to burst from all the food he was shoveling in. The other group of players looked really pale. Curiel, on the other hand, was extremely happy. He cut the meat with his knife and fork. Today's game was so much fun. You four can keep playing with me tomorrow. 4? Shangnan was very confused. What game did they play with Curiel? Weren't there 6 of them? How did it become 4? Li Qian tried his best to stay calm, but his body was trembling uncontrollably out of instinct. Xiaoqiang and Zhou Yu were also filled with despair. Su Ying was the mother hen, so she couldn't be caught. Curiel caught the other 4 besides Zhao Hui. Now that he said this, was he hinting that 2 of the 4 would die tonight? The meal ended. It's dark already. The butler brought another round of meals with his staff. Shangnan almost threw up from eating too much. No one stayed any longer than necessary. Everyone headed upstairs. Shangnan and Dongmai took turns throwing up into the toilet. They only went to meet in Lin Chong's room after they finished vomiting. Du Zitang arrived early. He already went over all the clues he had found. Lin Chong briefly told everyone what they had gone through. Curiel forced us to play Eagle Catches Chicks with him. Except for Su Ying and Zhao Hui. All 4 of us got caught. Xiaoqiang, a grown man, broke down and sobbed. Am I going to die tonight? I don't want to die. Su Ying was glad she had taken the role of the mother hen. She wasn't worried about dying at all. Zhao Hui next to her was also very calm. Since Sunya didn't come up with everyone, he was still eating downstairs. Zhu Yu begged Lin Chong, Brother Lin, can we crash in your room tonight? Dongmai turned them down immediately. In situations where we're assigned separate rooms, everyone had better stay in their own room. The room only protects its original occupants. Hopping between rooms will break the protection mechanism. You'll die far more horribly that way. Xiaoqiang and Zhou Yu froze for a second. The two hugged each other and cried their hearts out. Soon it was 11:30. Sun Yue pushed the door open and walked in. He burped and looked at all the people in the room. Aren't you guys going back to your rooms to sleep? I'm sleepy. Move out of the way, please. Xiaoqiang and Zhou Yu, who originally wanted to stay with Lin Chong, saw Sun Yue come back and completely gave up on the idea of staying. Going back to their own room didn't mean certain death. Staying here would definitely lead to trouble. Shangnan was the last one to leave. She walked 2 steps, then turned back. You have something to say to me. Lin Chong walked to the door. Brother Lin Chong, Shangnan wasn't sure if her idea was correct, but she thought she had to warn him, so she lowered her voice. You'd better find something to reinforce and protect Sun Yue's neck. She couldn't afford to stay out of some naive savior complex, but she also couldn't just stand by and watch someone die. This was all she could do. Lin Chung patted her on the shoulder and agreed to do as she said. 11:53. Shangnan didn't dare stay any longer. She hurried back to her room. Dong Mai popped in to check on Wang Tongtong and Guo Jiaojiao in their room, then headed back to her own room just in time. It was exactly midnight when Dong Mai turned off the lights. Outside, the flower branches shook violently. Countless dense eyes were pressed against the window, staring inside. Anan, what do you think the death condition is? Dong Mai asked. Under the shadow of fear, they hadn't had time to discuss this issue earlier. Shangnan thought for a moment, then said it was the rubber ball. According to brother Lin Chong, they were forced to play the game, so that didn't count as agreeing to Curiel's request. But Curiel said 2 people would die tonight. They most likely triggered a new death condition during the game. Dong Mai also thought it was related to the rubber ball, but she couldn't figure out what the new death condition was. Curiel caught 4 people. Why did he say only 2 would die? Is it random? Just whoever has bad luck. Dong Mai's heart tightened. It looked like she had just thought of something. What if the 4 who got caught didn't trigger the condition, and the ones who triggered it are Su Ying and Zhao Hui, who didn't get caught? They were all misled by Curiel. It's Su Ying and Zhao Hui. Shangnan also realized it at that moment. Her voice was heavy. Not getting caught is the death condition. Su Ying was too careless. Being the mother hen means the eagle never catches you. Her role is a total death trap. And Zhao Hui was too clever for his own good. Dong Mai threw off the covers to get out of bed. She wanted to warn them through the door. But just then, heavy footsteps came from outside the door, along with the harsh screech of metal being dragged across the floor. Dong Mai's body swayed. She fainted without any warning. Endless drowsiness washed over them. Tears welled up in Shangnan's eyes. She was inexplicably extremely sleepy. It felt like a voice was constantly luring her. Sleep, just sleep. Something was very wrong here. Shangnan pinched her palm hard to keep herself from falling asleep. She bit the tip of her tongue until it broke. The pain gave her a brief moment of clarity. Shangnan vaguely saw a human-shaped black shadow. Its fingers were as flexible as silk threads. Hyphae wrapped around her roommate's neck again and again. The hyphae tightened. She knew once the shadow killed Dong Mai, it wouldn't spare her either. So she opened her eyes and took the initiative to attack. Let her go! As soon as the words left her mouth, the thing Shangnan was clutching in her hand stabbed hard at the silk threads. The shadow didn't expect her to be awake. Its figure visibly paused. This gave Shangnan the opening she needed. The shard of glass in her hand successfully cut through the threads restraining Dong Mai's artery. The glass shard came from a photo frame. Shangnan had hidden a piece secretly for self-defense. She didn't expect it to come in handy so soon. She followed the momentum of standing up and kicked again. She kicked the shadow hard on the jaw. If it were a real human, that kick would have definitely dislocated its jaw. But the shadow only stepped back 1 step. It didn't even stagger. It didn't fight back. It looked completely confused. First it touched its jaw in disbelief. Then it turned its head in a daze to look at the wriggling hyphae that had fallen on the floor. But soon it seemed to notice something. Its featureless face turned toward Shangnan's hand. There was a small cut on her hand. Shangnan ignored the blood flowing from the cut. She gripped the glass shard even tighter. Warily watching the shadow, just when she thought she was about to be attacked, the shadow suddenly disappeared. A thick black fog filled the room. It was so dark you couldn't see your own hand in front of your face. Shangnan was startled. Then something pressed against the back of her neck. It lifted her and slammed her toward the ceiling. But the expected pain never came. Shangnan fell hard onto a soft big bed. She bounced twice on it. Where had she been taken? Shangnan looked around confusedly. She realized she was still inside the villa. It was just that this room had very different furnishings from the ones they were staying in. The room was gorgeous and vintage-styled. Shangnan got off the ornate European-style bed with carved silver foil details. She heard the sound of running water coming from the bathroom. She carefully picked up a vase. She tiptoed closer, holding her ear toward the door. Before she could press it against the door opened from the inside. Shangnan couldn't stop herself in time. She fell right into the arms of the person who came out. A pair of strong arms held her by the shoulders. Shangnan lowered her eyes. She could clearly see his well-defined abs, and the white bath towel wrapped around his waist. What are you doing in my room? Bailey Wuxi's deep voice came from above her head. Shangnan slowly lifted her head. She forced a small, awkward smile. I was just about to ask you the same thing. I didn't mean to. Drip. A drop of water from the man's hair fell on the tip of her nose. A pleasant scent of gardenias filled her nose. Shangnan zoned out for a second. She loved gardenias very much. Her social media profile picture was even a gardenia. She didn't expect Bailey Wuxi to have the same taste as her. You saw me completely naked. Bailey Wuxi took the vase from Shangnan's hand. His gaze was intense. How do you plan to take responsibility for this? Wait, hold on a second. This is developing way too fast. Shangnan was a little dazed. First of all, I didn't look on purpose. Second, there was a dark, ugly monster that tried to kill me. I fought with it. Lost and ended up here. Do you understand that? When Bailey Wuxi heard that, his face darkened completely. Am I dark and ugly? Shangnan blinked. I was talking about the monster that tried to kill me. If you want someone to take responsibility, you should go find it. With that, she was about to sneak away, but the next second, the girl's gaze suddenly snapped around. She was slung over someone's shoulder. Bailey Wuxi stared at her stubbornly. I only saw you... Hearing that, Shangnan felt her head throbbing with a headache. So he's planning to stick to her now, huh? She pushed against Bailey Wuxi's chest, trying to get him to put her down, but her palm touched something odd. She lost her voice instantly, because he didn't have a heartbeat. He was deliberately pretending to be human. Shangnan didn't dare move an inch. He's a murderous ghost. He might even be the terrifying final boss of this instance. Shangnan didn't dare think. If she pissed him off, she would die a terrible death. Why aren't you moving? Bailey Wuxi stopped walking. He raised his hand and patted Shangnan a few times. The girl's face flushed bright red with embarrassment instantly. Stop patting me randomly. Shangnan was dangling from his body. She was furious but didn't dare lash out. Bailey Wuxi let out an "oh," and without another word, he tossed her right back onto the bed. Shangnan sank into the quilt. Her fair little face was filled with terror. She tried to crawl away, but was dragged back to his side by her ankle. Bailey Wuxi said nothing and started to unbutton her clothes. No! Shangnan grabbed his hand. There's a proper distance between men and women that shouldn't be crossed. If we don't kiss, how can we sleep together? Bailey Wuxi looked completely confused. No kissing, exactly. Seeing that he seemed to be convinced by her, Shangnan hurried to strike while the iron was hot. I have to go back to my own room to sleep. Before she could finish speaking, Bailey Wuxi suddenly lowered his head and pressed a kiss to Shangnan's lips. We kissed now. Can we sleep now? He said it confidently, as if he was totally in the right. Shangnan froze on the spot. It took her several seconds to realize what had just happened. Her eyes instantly reddened. She raised her hand and slapped Bailey Wuxi across the face. That was her first kiss, and a ghost just took advantage of her and stole it. She was tainted now. How would she face her boyfriend if she got out alive? Shangnan took a deep breath and closed her eyes. A scholar can be killed, but not humiliated. Bailey Wuxi's face was turned to the side by the slap, but he didn't miss. The deep disgust in Shangnan's eyes. The air was dead silent. The hyphae tangled into shadows behind him. A few strands floated up quietly. Wanting to touch Shangnan but not daring to, they just stayed weakly around her, as if trying to please her. A few minutes passed. Shangnan tentatively opened a tiny crack of her eye. Why haven't I died yet? The moment Shangnan opened her eyes, the hyphae obediently went back to their original position. Shangnan looked down and saw Bailey Wuxi kneeling in front of her. She jumped in fright. Is this some weird ritual before he kills me? It's actually kind of special, though. Let me tell you. Shangnan sniffled, looking extremely wronged. I have a boyfriend. I love him so much. You are good looking, I'll give you that. But you're not even 1/10,000th as good as my boyfriend. No matter what bad plans you have, you can forget about them. Bailey Wuxi moved slightly. A glint of light suddenly flashed across his originally lonely eyes. He lifted his head sharply and looked at Shangnan. He asked urgently, how much do you love your boyfriend? More than anything in the whole world. Shangnan tilted her chin up and answered without any hesitation, I love my boyfriend. Not you. Why are you so excited anyway? Shangnan had no idea what the burning passion in Bailey Wuxi's eyes was about. Bailey Wuxi licked his dry lips. Am I excited? There was another moment of silence. Shangnan opened her mouth. I want to go back to my room. You can't go back. Bailey Wuxi stood up and brushed off non-existent dust from his bath towel, then sat down next to Shangnan. It's very dangerous outside at this hour. You're only safe when you're with me. Shangnan didn't feel safe at all. The way he looked at her made it seem like he wanted to devour her even more than before. Is your boyfriend really as great as you say he is? Bailey Wuxi asked again. When the topic turned to her boyfriend, Shangnan immediately perked up. She rambled on and on excitedly, while Bailey Wuxi sat beside her, looking like he was on cloud nine. As they talked, Shangnan couldn't hold on anymore. Her eyelids grew heavy and she fell asleep. Bailey Wuxi pulled the quilt over to cover her properly. Only then did he dare to show his infatuated and loving expression. He gazed tenderly at the person in his arms. But then he suddenly thought of something. His expression turned sad again. The sky was bright with daylight. Dongmai got up from the floor, looking confused. Why did I sleep on the floor last night? Shangnan also jolted awake from her dream and sat up straight immediately. Wasn't I in Bailey Wuxi's room? She thought to herself. She quickly checked her body and found no suspicious marks. Only then did she breathe a sigh of relief. Why does my neck hurt even worse than last night? Hearing Dongmai's voice, Shangnan looked at the circle of purple bruises around her neck and said, Sister Dongmai? Something broke into our room again last night. Is it Curiel's father? No, Shangnan shook her head. It tried to strangle you. This doesn't match the killing pattern of Curiel's father that we speculated before. Dongmai gently touched the wound on her neck. She frowned and asked, Are you okay? Shangnan's expression was a little complicated. It picked me up and slammed me against the ceiling, but I was fine after that. Shangnan thought it was pointless to talk about what happened later, so she didn't mention it. Surviving a great disaster must be followed by good fortune. Jo Man stretched her stiff body. Let's go, let's check what happened last night outside. They opened the door and ran right into Xiaoqiang and Zhou Yu, who were also opening their door to come out. Xiaoqiang looked worriedly at Lin Chong's room. Zhou Yu and I are fine. Is Lin Chong okay last night then? The ones who had an accident are Su Ying and Zhao Hui, Shangnan said as she knocked on Du Ziteng's door. Zhou Yu followed behind her, very confused. As Du Ziteng opened the door, and they saw what he looked like, Zhou Yu let out a short exclaim, Du Ziteng! You're covered in blood. Du Ziteng still looked half asleep. The movement of him rubbing his eyes stopped abruptly. He looked down and his face went pale instantly. Just then, Li Tian also opened her door. She pressed her lips together and said, Su Ying is dead. Shangnan looked past her at Su Ying on the bed inside the room. Her eyes were wide open. A knife was stuck in her chest. Why did she die like this? Shangnan hurriedly went to check Zhao Hui's body next, and found that he had also died from a knife stab to the chest. Du Ziteng was sleeping way too close to Zhao Hui. The thought that when Zhao Hui died last night, he was sleeping right next to him, and the ghost could have killed him too with a single thought. His legs went weak and he almost couldn't stand up. This room is so weird. I get sleepy as soon as the lights are turned off, and I didn't feel anything at all. As soon as Du Ziteng finished speaking, Li Tian looked at Dongmai and Shangnan. She sneered and said, How do you explain this time? Didn't you say Curiel's father beheads people when he kills? But Su Ying and Zhao Hui's heads are completely intact. Your deduction is totally wrong. They must have all been killed by Curiel. Dongmai ignored her, and instead turned around and walked to Lin Chong's room, and said, We need to go to the second floor. I suspect there's more than one ghost. Lin Chong was sitting on Sun Yue, who was tied up as tight as a wrapped zongzi. Last night, as soon as the lights went out, he started attacking me. Then something seemed to appear that made him really scared. That's when I took the chance to subdue him. The other ghost is probably Curiel's mother. Brother Lin? Are you saying Curiel's mother killed Su Ying and Zhao Hui? Li Can immediately changed his attitude and said politely, I actually thought that too. Both parents were murdered. There's no reason only the father turned into a ghost. The husband ghost is so afraid of the wife. The wife must have killed the husband, obviously. Shangnan thought there was something very wrong with that statement. Before we have any proof, how can you be sure the woman killed the man? But she didn't see the need to argue with Li Qian. The truth would come out once everything was over. I suggest the three veteran players go together. Shangnan continued speaking from the second floor. I know. The new death condition lets us avoid Curiel's game. Why do I have to go too? Li Qian retorted angrily. Isn't Dongmai really powerful? She can go alone. It's better if you don't go, Dongmai said flatly. Saves us from having to save a dead weight like you later. Who are you calling a dead weight? Whoever agrees they are, that's who. Lin Chong took off his glasses. He rubbed the space between his eyebrows and said, Enough. Stop arguing, Li Tian. You're coming with us. I'll do my best to protect all of you and get everyone out alive. But if someone who's capable refuses to help, that's a little unreasonable, don't you think? Li Ken was terrified of dying, but forced himself to stay calm and said, Shangnan, you can just tell me what the new death condition is. I'll lead everyone in the game. But unexpectedly, Xiaoqiang and Zhou Yu spoke at the same time. We want to go with Shangnan. Li Qian, we all know how you tricked Su Ying. We're well aware of it. Li Qian's face turned purple with rage. But he was also afraid Lin Chong would abandon him. So he had to agree to go to the second floor. Then Shangnan called Wang Tongtong and Guo Jiaojiao over. The two of them would also join the game today. After eating, Dong Mai lied that Du Ziteng had gone upstairs. Lin Chong also made an excuse and followed him up. Li Chen dragged his feet for ages, before reluctantly standing up from his stool. Just then, Curiel couldn't wait any longer and jumped off his chair. There are 6 people today, too. We're still playing Eagle and Chicks today. Hurry up and come out once you're done eating. Don't make me come get you. With that, he skipped out the door, looking at Curiel's receding back. Xiaoqiang asked, his calves trembling. So the person who's the mother hen is definitely going to die, right? Shangnan put down her knife and fork. Her gaze was steady and sincere. Do you trust me? No one is going to die this round. Not long after, they walked out of the dining room together and headed to the yard. Curiel saw Shangnan standing at the front of the line. Irritation showed in his bright blue eyes. Why are you the mother hen? Go to the back of the line. Why should I go to the back? Shangnan wasn't scared of him at all. Like a friendly older girl next door. She smiled and ruffled Curiel's hair. If you keep being so fussy, I'll be the eagle instead, okay? Curiel's curly blonde hair was all messed up like a bird's nest after she ruffled it. His chubby little face was also in Shangnan's hands, squished into all kinds of shapes. Kids this age have such soft skin. Come on, let me see your chubby little arms. Everyone watching was terrified out of their wits. Oh my god, no matter how small this boss is, he's still a boss. Is it really okay for you to manhandle him like that? Just as Shangnan was about to reach out again, Curiel, desperate to save his arms, hurriedly announced the start of the game. Soon Du Ziteng, who was at the end of the line, was caught. Shangnan smiled and held Curiel back. I don't want to be the mother hen anymore. Let him be it. Shangnan pointed at the captured Du Ziteng. I'm going to be a chick now. No way. Curiel rejected Shangnan immediately. Anyone I catch is out. He can't play anymore. He can only watch from the side. Oh, is that so? Shangnan looked disappointed, but he only played for less than 2 minutes. You still want to keep playing with us, right? Du Ziteng quickly played along. He sat on the ground holding his stomach, closed his eyes, and started wailing. Wah, Curiel is bullying me. I'm gonna tell my mom on you to your mom. The scene was pretty ridiculous for a moment. But Curiel still stood his ground. That still won't work. That would totally eke the game rules. You think that's gonna make him go easy on you? Fat chance. I'm the great King Curiel with a heart of stone. Curiel is right. Xiaoqiang stammered in agreement. But maybe we can make a new game. His face was stiff, and his movements were awkward. He sounded like he was reading off a script. His act was barely better than Du Ziteng's over-the-top performance. Just then, Shangnan jumped in to play along. Oh my gosh, Curiel, how are you so amazing? You just invented a whole new game. We'll call this game Curiel's game from now on. Okay, she finished speaking. The rest of the group quickly started clapping, giving Curiel no time to react. Am I really that awesome? Curiel pursed his lips and gave in. Fine, you can try being the hen then. Du Ziteng jumped up immediately and switched places with Shangnan. Sure enough, whether you're human or ghost, everyone loves getting compliments. For the rest of the game, they switched the mother hen every round to make sure everyone could get caught by Curiel. Shangnan even convinced Curiel to be the mother hen once. His face was bright red from playing, and he was laughing loudly. When the game ended, Shangnan pulled a little red flower out of nowhere. Curiel was so good and so amazing today. We all loved playing with you so much. Curiel's little face turned as red as an apple from embarrassment. He took the little red flower shyly. Then all 7 of us will play together tomorrow. When they heard him say all 7 people, no one left out. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. They all looked at Shangnan gratefully. But Shangnan was distracted, staring up at the second floor. Normally at this time, Dongmai and the others should have already gone inside. Why is there no noise at all? Are you worried about Sister Dongmai and the others? Du Ziteng asked. They're all super experienced veteran players. They definitely have a better handle on things than we do. Shangnan snapped out of her thoughts. She smiled slightly. Even though we avoided the game's death condition, we still need to be extra careful tonight. Guo Jiaojiao tensed up and asked nervously, is something else going to happen tonight? The ghost triggered by the minigame's death condition is Curiel's mother. The child's mood affects how she feels. She thought we didn't let Curiel have enough fun. That's why she killed people. Shangnan paused for a moment. Even though Curiel had fun today, his mother won't attack us. But Curiel's father will probably make a move tonight. Is that the ghost that cut off Sun Yue's head? Guo Jiaojiao squeezed her hands tightly together. But none of us touched the ball. As soon as she said that, they saw Curiel coming downstairs holding a ball. Right after that, Li Man and Dong rushed downstairs in a terrible state. They were both injured. Lin Chong, who was right behind them, wasn't any better off. There were several bloody scratch marks on his right arm. It looked like something was chasing them. Not long after, the butler holding a sickle appeared. His expression was ferocious and sinister. But as soon as he stepped down the stairs, it was like someone hit a reset button on him. The sickle vanished. He's back to that stiff look in a formal suit again. It's lunchtime. Curiel urged the butler, asking why the food hadn't been served yet. The butler bent over and replied, "We'll serve you right away, young master. We found a few stinky rats just now. Had to kill them all. Took a bit of time." As he finished speaking, the butler's gloomy gaze swept over Dongmai and the other two. Then he turned around and headed to the kitchen. Dongmai shook her head at Shangnan. With that monster turned from the butler around, they couldn't get into Curiel's brother's room. Looks like we have to find another way. Night fell. All the players gathered in Ling Chung's room. Sun Yue's mouth had turned black by now. Dark red pus was oozing out of it. Corpse spots also started appearing on his body. He even spoke one word at a time slowly. "Why did you tie me up?" "I'm so hungry, I want to eat." Ling Chung's eyes dimmed. Sun Yue is no longer human. Now that he's turned into a ghost, he'll massacre all the players after 12 a.m. Keeping him alive is too big a threat. Put him out of his misery quickly. Dongmai lowered her eyes and conjured a pill out of thin air. This is the 100 Ghost Cave item she exchanged with points. It only works on player-turned-ghosts. Lin Chong took the pill. He whispered rest in peace to Sun Yue, then stuffed the pill into his mouth. Under the effect of the pill, Sun Yue's eyes gradually cleared up. He knew he was dying soon. He forced a smile with great effort. "I'm sorry for causing you all trouble." A tear rolled down the corner of his eye. Sun Yue's figure also faded away slowly. In the end, only the blood-stained bedsheet was left. As proof that he once existed, the atmosphere in the room suddenly became oppressive. Everyone was feeling awful inside. "Cheer up, this is no time to be sad." Lin Chong glanced at the time. "It's almost 12 o'clock. We have to go out and face the ghosts in the corridor tonight." "Go out?" Li Qian's eyes widened in shock. The mutated butler ghost in the daytime almost scared her to death. She had no intention of going out to die on purpose. Lin Chong explained, "We couldn't get near Curiel's brother's room during the day. We have to try again at night. You guys help lure the ghosts away. Just make sure Dongmai and I get a chance to go downstairs." Lin Chong paused for a second. His eyes swept across everyone in the room. Anyone who's scared can go back first. Li Qian saw no one else was intending to leave. She felt too embarrassed to leave first. But face is nothing compared to life. Li Qian twisted the door open, ran straight back to her own room at a fast pace, and locked the door from the inside. Soon it was 12 a.m. Faint, heavy, and dragging footsteps came from outside the door. Shangnan and Dongmai stayed in the room. They held their breath, waiting for a signal from Ling Chong's side. The sound of metal scraping against the ground got closer and closer. A stench of rot seeped in through the crack of the door. Shangnan pinched her thigh hard to keep herself from fainting. Then a loud crash was heard. She exchanged a glance with Dongmai and opened the door. A sharp axe was struck into the door. The sturdy door shook a little. Several gashes were immediately cut into it. The ghost figure was faintly visible. Xiaoqiang and Zhou Yu were so scared their faces turned pale, but they didn't back down. Each of them held a detached bed leg in their hand. Standing on either side of Ling Chong, suddenly a shoe hit the ghost on the back. The ghost was enraged. Let out a furious roar. "Hey, you rotten bastard! I've got the door open. Come get me if you have the guts." Dongmai put her hands on her hips, yelling loudly. Shangnan copied her action, also threw a shoe over. "Come over here, you." The ghost pulled the axe out of the door. It turned around, and Shangnan finally got a clear look at the ghost's appearance. It was a headless ghost covered in blood. There was a huge bloody mouth on its chest, bearing sharp fangs. Just one look is enough to make people lose their sanity like crazy. Dongmai grabbed Shangnan by the arm immediately. The two of them turned around and ran right away. Shangnan was so focused on running that she didn't notice when they left the doorway. A wisp of black mycelium fell from the ceiling and wrapped around her right wrist. with them luring the ghost away. Lin Chong and the other two got out of the room smoothly. Lin Chong darted back to his own room quickly. The ghost then turned to chase Xiaoqiang and Zhou Yu. Xiaoqiang's legs were shaking uncontrollably. She wanted to hide back in her room, but it wasn't time yet. They had to wait until the ghost got closer. He closed his eyes tight, waving the wooden stick in his hand fearlessly as if facing death calmly. "I'll fight you to the death." The ghost got closer and closer. Its axe was lifted high up. Roar! Another ghostly roar rang out. A cloud of white smoke rose with a sizzling sound. The ghost was hit. It stepped back a few steps unwillingly. From the door that was left slightly ajar, Du Zitang's face lit up with joy. He, Wang Tongtong, and Guo Jiaojiao on the opposite side were holding a thin string together. This was the life-saving prop Ling Chong gave them. The axe was thrown out in the next second. It embedded into the wall with a loud bang. Just 2 centimeters away from Xiaoqiang's head, Xiaoqiang's adrenaline spiked. He gritted his teeth and pulled Zhou Yu back into the room. Du Zitang, Wang Tongtong, and Guo Jiaojiao also closed their doors. Dongmai and Lin Chong took the chance to go downstairs. Now, as long as Shangnan can get back to her room safely, the plan will be a success. Shangnan moved very fast. When the ghost went to attack Xiaoqiang and Zhou Yu, she already started running back. She was already at her door by now. But Shangnan twisted the door handle hard, but it wouldn't budge no matter how hard she tried. Sweat broke out all over her forehead. The ghost heard the noise, and its huge bloody mouth opened creepily at her. The ghost didn't even bother to pick up its axe. It looked like it was going to come over and twist Shangnan's head off directly. Shangnan kept trying to open the door. Only then did she find out the door was damaged by someone and got stuck. It wouldn't open no matter what. Shangnan suddenly looked up towards Li Qian's room. Li Qian was poking her head out, admiring her own handiwork with a proud and ferocious look. She even mouthed words at Shangnan with an eerie tone. "Go to hell." Shangnan had never understood what she had done to offend Li Qian. It was fine that she targeted her before, but now she's actually trying to kill her. Damn it. Shangnan's eyes turned red with anger. She stopped trying to open the door and turned to run, but it was already a step too late. The ghost grabbed her by the hair. Shangnan's scalp went numb. She fell flat on her back on the floor. The ghost's withered hand was about to grab her. Shangnan didn't have time to get up. She raised her arm to block it instinctively. The next second, a wisp of black shadow shot out from her wrist and slapped the ghost hard across the face, sending the ghost stumbling backward again and again. Shangnan was stunned. She didn't have time to think about what this thing was. As long as it didn't hurt her, that was enough. Shangnan got up and was about to go downstairs, but she stopped in her tracks when she reached the stairwell. She turned around and ran back with a cold face. The ghost seemed to be very afraid of the black shadow on her. It didn't dare to get close for a moment. Shangnan gathered all her strength and kicked Li Qian's door open with a loud crash. "You were the one who was unfair first. Don't blame me for being unkind." Li Qian, who was lying on the bed about to rest, looked completely shocked. "You bitch, are you insane?" Shangnan never thought of herself as a kind person. Especially when someone tries to take her life. She will always pay back in kind. She glanced at the ghost that was chasing after her. Shangnan ran a few steps deeper into the corridor. She waited until the ghost entered Li Qian's room. Then she turned around and dashed towards the stairs. Miserable screams echoed through the corridor. Shangnan walked up to the 4th floor. She remembered last time in Bailey Wuxi's bedroom. She saw a small study. Maybe she can find clues to fight back inside. Anyway, she can't go back to her room now. She might as well go there and try her luck. Even though Bailey Wuxi is a ghost, at least he can understand human speech. And he won't attack her right away. There are no lights in the hallway. It's so quiet that it's terrifying. Only Shangnan's footsteps can be heard. Like a solo performance in the thick, dark night, Shangnan studied her right wrist as she walked, trying to make that wisp of black shadow appear again. But her smooth, fair skin showed no sign of anything unusual at the moment. She was quite confused. The shadow seemed to want to kill her earlier. Why did it save her at the critical moment instead? Shangnan stood in front of Bailey Wuxi's room door. She raised her hand to knock. Suddenly, another set of footsteps came from the hallway. The ghost was catching up. Shangnan's mind went blank. Her hand fell immediately. Rapid knocks rang out. "Mr. Bailey Wuxi, are you there?" The girl's voice was soft and sweet, like a little kitten that had gotten into trouble. Acting coquettishly to seek shelter from its owner. "Who is it?" Bailey Wuxi's deep, hoarse voice sounded unhurriedly. He didn't open the door. He only asked through the door. "It's me, Shangnan, the detective hired by your little nephew Curiel." Shangnan took a deep breath, afraid he wouldn't open the door for her. so she softened her voice even more, while keeping an eye on the approaching ghost from her peripheral vision. "Miss Shang, you're not going back to your room to rest this late. What do you need from me?" Bailey Wuxi's voice was very calm. It sounded like he was standing right behind the door. He said unhurriedly, "Miss Shang, didn't you say last time that men and women shouldn't have improper physical contact? It's too late now. I don't think it's appropriate to open the door." Shangnan was so angry that she slowly clenched her fist. "Why are you standing behind the door if you won't open it?" He's still deliberately giving me a hard time at a time like this. Shangnan really wanted to turn around and leave, but the ghost was right behind her. "What if I open the door? And you, Miss Shang, turn around and accuse me of having ulterior motives? That won't be good." Bailey Wuxi chuckled softly. Shangnan could almost picture that annoying expression on his face. She held back the urge to punch him. The smell of blood was getting stronger and stronger now. Shangnan couldn't help turning her head to glance at the headless ghost. It was holding an axe and approaching step by step. There were a few severed fingers stuck on the axe. It left a bloody footprint on the floor with every step it took. Bailey Wuxi. Shangnan looked away and banged on the door hard. "Let me in right now, or I'm dead for sure. I can let you in, but you have to promise me one requirement first." Bailey Wuxi didn't seem anxious at all. His words sounded like he was taking advantage of her desperate situation. "Promise me?" "I'll promise. When it's time to back down." Shangnan never acts tough for no reason. As long as it's within my ability. The headless ghost stopped 5 meters away from Shangnan. It raised the axe high and threw it straight at Shangnan's head. The axe cut through the silent night with the evil aura of a ghost's sneer. In her constricted pupils, the shadow of the axe grew larger and larger. Shangnan could feel the breath of death. Bang! At the very last second, a hand reached out from the inward opening door and wrapped around Shangnan's waist. The axe grazed past Shangnan's nose and hit the ground, cutting off a few strands of hair that floated in the air. The door closed, and Shangnan was pressed against the door panel. Honestly speaking, this kind of hero saving the beauty scene is really easy to make one's heart flutter, but Shangnan always felt this scene was familiar. She vaguely remembered when the school bus accident happened. A hand just like this had held her too. It seemed like it had said something in her ear, but she couldn't remember what it was. Bailey Wuxi's chest was almost pressed against hers. Shangnan's eyelashes trembled slightly, and she turned her head away. "You can let go of me now?" The nice scent of gardenia in the room helped her tense nerves relax. For a second, Shangnan couldn't help thinking how great it would be if her boyfriend looked just like Bailey Wuxi. Both his looks and figure hit all her preferences perfectly. Shangnan remembered her boyfriend had once asked her in a roundabout way what kind of guys she liked. The description she gave was almost exactly like Bailey Wuxi. Shangnan tapped her head. "I must have stayed in this haunted place for too long to come up with the ridiculous thought that my boyfriend and Bailey Wuxi are the same person. What are you thinking about over there, shaking your head all by yourself?" Bailey Wuxi had already sat down on the bed, holding a book in his hand and flipping through it through nothing. Shangnan came back to her senses, her cheeks flushed red from guilt. "Oh, right. What was that request you mentioned earlier?" Bailey Wuxi looked up. His dark, pitch-black eyes in the dim light seemed to hide endless secrets. He didn't know what crossed his mind. He lowered his head and continued flipping through the book. "I haven't thought of it yet. I'll tell you when I do." Shangnan didn't know if it was because of the lighting. For a few seconds, Bailey Wuxi looked at her with what seemed to be a guilty look. Wait, why would he be guilty? Shangnan shuffled over and sat down on the sofa, with her hands resting on her knees, waiting for Bailey Wuxi to fall asleep. Once he falls asleep, it will be easier for her to sneak into the study. Bailey Wuxi finished flipping through an entire book. Shangnan thought he was going to sleep, but he turned the book back to the first page and started reading it again. Shangnan's eyes widened. She noticed something off. "You're holding the book upside down." His long fingers holding the book paused for a moment. Bailey Wuxi lifted his eyes and looked at her. Shangnan quickly made a zipping motion over her mouth. What a stingy guy. He makes a mistake and won't even let people point it out. Bailey Wuxi stared at Shangnan for a moment, put the book aside, and lifted the quilt. "How long are you going to sit on the sofa?" When Shangnan heard that, her eyes lit up. "Are you going to rest now?" "I won't make a sound to disturb you." But her plan to sneak around and do bad things once he fell asleep was written all over her face. Bailey Wuxi turned over and lay down properly, and pulled the quilt over himself. "I'm going to rest now." "Okay!" Shangnan was so excited she almost jumped up. She quickly covered her mouth and stopped making any sound. After waiting quietly for more than 10 minutes, Shangnan waved her hand in front of his eyes. When she saw no reaction, she turned around and tiptoed towards the study. The study door was locked. It couldn't be opened without the key. Shangnan looked around the room and found that under Bailey Wuxi's book there was something pressed down. She had no choice but to walk back to the bed. The book was on the inner side of the pillow. Shangnan carefully propped one hand on the edge of the bed, leaning most of her body over Bailey Wuxi. The book was pushed aside little by her slender fingers, revealing an old-fashioned key. Finding the key so easily made Shangnan's lips curl up involuntarily, but she didn't notice that the man under her had slightly pursed his lips. Junzi quietly circled around behind Shangnan and pushed her hard when she was about to get up. Shangnan lost her balance and fell right on top of Bailey Wuxi. She opened her eyes wide in shock, and by perfect coincidence kissed Bailey Wuxi on the chin. Shangnan froze in his arms and didn't dare move for a long time. After making sure he was still asleep, she climbed off the bed and opened the study door. Shangnan quickly flipped through the books on the bookshelf and found nothing useful. She then turned her attention to the few open books on the desk. It looked like they were the books Bailey Wuxi had been reading recently. The characters on them were very complicated, like ancient script. Shangnan couldn't recognize them at all. She flipped through them casually a few times, then started opening the drawers. Finally, in the bottommost drawer, I found an old newspaper. The front page headline of this old newspaper covered an incredibly bizarre incident. Shangnan scanned through it quickly. She couldn't snap out of it for a long time after finishing reading. With a grave expression, she folded the newspaper and put it in her pocket. I have to tell everyone about this as soon as possible. Maybe this is the key for them to get out of here. Shangnan sat back on the sofa. She drifted off unconsciously. A gust of coldness hit her. Shangnan shivered. She woke up from the unexplainable cold. She rubbed her sleepy eyes. She vaguely saw frost flowers forming on the window. It's obviously 27 or 28 degrees Celsius these days. Why does it suddenly feel like winter? There's nothing to cover up with on the sofa. If this goes on, I'll catch a cold even if I don't freeze to death. Shangnan's gaze unconsciously drifted to the bed. After hesitating for a moment, she blew warm air into her palms. She couldn't help but stand up and slipped under the soft quilt. She didn't dare to overthink it. She pulled the quilt close. She curled up in the corner farthest from Bailey Wuxi. She closed her eyes. Not long after she closed her eyes, the man who had been lying flat on his back turned to his side. His narrow eyes were full of fanatical obsession. Shangnan was half asleep. She felt a heat source next to her. She hugged it subconsciously. Bailey Wuxi looked down at the person who had crawled into his arms on her own. He was very satisfied. The night belongs to him, and the sleeping person belongs to him too. Junzi wrapped itself around Shangnan's calf excitedly. It kissed and touched her with its tentacles, acting recklessly without any restraint. Early the next morning, the moment Shangnan opened her eyes and met Bailey Wuxi's gaze, she got a huge fright. She was clinging to Bailey Wuxi with all four limbs. She's always a very still sleeper normally. Shangnan wanted to find a crack in the ground to crawl into so badly. You clearly slept on the sofa last night, miss, but you ended up in my arms this morning. You'd better give me an explanation, Miss Shang. Bailey Wuxi had a serious expression on his face. He tightened the slightly open collar of his pajamas. Shangnan was both embarrassed and annoyed. Do you think I'm some kind of female pervert? Aren't you? Bailey Wuxi asked rhetorically. He raised his hand and pointed at the red mark on his cheek. Besides, you probably mistook me for your boyfriend, Miss Shangy. You kissed really hard. Shangnan tried to defend herself, but the hickey on Bailey Wuxi's face was way too obvious. She had no way to argue against it. Bailey Wuxi wore a faint, amused smile. Don't tell me you don't even have a boyfriend, Miss Shang. You just wanted to lower my guard, so you could get close to me, right? Shangnan opened her mouth. Even if she had 100 mouths right now, she still wouldn't be able to explain herself. I didn't want to get close to you. With that, Shangnan covered her face and ran away. When sunlight spilled over the third floor, everything that had been destroyed by the headless ghost was restored to its original state. Right now, Dongmai and Lin Zhong were knocking on Shangnan's door, but there was no sound coming from inside the room at all. Dongmai lowered her head and tried to turn the doorknob. Only then did she notice the severely deformed lock core. Her heart skipped a beat. Didn't Shangnan come back to her room last night? Could she have been caught by a ghost? Before she could finish her thought, Lin Jun took a few steps back. He gathered his strength and kicked the door open with one foot. They found the room completely empty. The sound of the door being kicked open was very loud. It alarmed Wang Tongtong and Guo Jiaojiao next door. The others also came out of their rooms. All of their faces turned extremely grim. What's going on? After we went downstairs last night, didn't Shangnan come back to her room? Dongmai frowned. She mumbled to herself. Wang Tongtong recalled with a pale face. Last night? I thought I heard a scream. After we stopped the ghost, Xiaoqiang and Zhou Yu went back to their rooms safely. Shangnan also reached her door. Logically speaking, she should have gone inside. Du Ziting glanced at everyone in the room. He took a deep breath. Where's Li Qian? Why isn't she here? Xiaoqiang was closest to the door. He went to Li Qian's room to call her. A few seconds later, Xiaoqiang ran back with a look of terror on his face. He pointed behind him, gasping for air. It was as if someone was choking his throat. He couldn't say a single word. Soon everyone found out why he was acting like that. Li Qian was dead. Her death looked exactly the same as Sun Yue's, but she didn't even know she was dead. When she heard Xiaoqiang calling her, she followed him over. You were looking for me. Li Qian's hair was covered in dried blood. Half of her face was caked with it. The other half of her face looked eerily ghostly. Her stiff eyes swept across the crowd. She let out a weird laugh with her hoarse voice. Where's Shangnan? Is she dead? Dongmai clenched her fists. Did you damage the door lock? Of course I did. Li Qian grinned. Blood gushed out from the stitched wound on her neck. That bitch? I've hated her for ages. What's wrong with killing her? Du Zitang's face was full of anger, but since Li Qian was a ghost now, he was afraid of getting everyone else in trouble. He had to keep his mouth shut. Dongmai didn't believe for a second that Shangnan was dead. Li Qian, do you think you're still alive? What do you mean by that? Li Qian spoke each word slowly and deliberately. You want to kill me? Dongmai shook her head. No. Haven't you noticed that your neck is broken? You've been dead for a long time. My neck. A confused look crossed Li Qian's face as she reached up to touch her neck. When she felt the circle of stitches, she froze. After realizing that she was dead, Li Qian let out a ghastly laugh. She lunged viciously at Dong Mai. Ling Chong stepped in front of Dong Mai to block her. He grabbed Li Qian's neck with one hand. He pressed down on her head with the other hand and twisted it hard. The stitches snapped, and Li Qian's head separated from her body. Dong Mai didn't want to waste her white ghost's wail. She lowered her eyes, thinking that this was revenge for Nan. Du Zitang's eyes turned red. Wang Tongtong and Guo Jiaojiao couldn't hold back their tears either, even though they hadn't known Shangnan for very long. In Curiel's game, Shangnan had saved their lives. They hadn't even gotten the chance to repay her yet. In a daze, a soft, confused female voice came from the doorway. Why are all of you crying? Who said I'm crying? Du Ziting wiped his face with a hoarse voice. I'm not. His words trailed off. He suddenly turned his head to look at the door. All the others turned their heads in unison as well. There were no stitches on Shangnan's neck. She was definitely not a ghost. Dong Mai breathed a sigh of relief. She walked over and hugged Shangnan tightly. She patted her on the back. I'm glad you're okay. Shangnan was just about to tell everyone about the clue she found last night. When the butler appeared at the doorway, he announced that it was time for meals. Everyone had no choice but to go downstairs. When they got downstairs, Bailey Wuxi was sitting in the living room drinking tea. He looked up when he heard the noise. His gaze locked onto Shangnan. He put down his teacup. His long fingers unbuttoned the top 2 buttons of his shirt. He even deliberately turned his face to the side. Dong Mai stared at the mark on Bailey Wuxi's face. Looking thoughtful, she suddenly asked Shangnan, Did you stay in his room last night? There was a smile on the corner of Dong Mai's mouth. Her eyes were full of curiosity. Shangnan's cheeks burned with embarrassment. She nodded. She walked down the stairs quickly. She deliberately ignored the look Bailey Wuxi was giving her and headed straight for the dining room. Shangnan didn't manage to get away. Bailey Wuxi called out to stop her. Seeing Shangnan standing still, Dongman gave her a gentle nudge with a smile. She could tell right away that this terrifying boss that randomly showed up in the instance had no intention of killing anyone. All the things he had been doing seemed to be just to cling to Shangnan. Bailey Wuxi bent slightly closer to Shangnan. His gaze fell on her rosy lips. He unconsciously licked the corner of his own mouth. I found a really good book. I want you to read it with me. Shangnan didn't want to miss any clues, so she didn't refuse. But she had to play some games with Curiel first. After breakfast, Curiel couldn't wait to start the game. But this time, Shangnan suggested playing hide-and-seek. They needed time to discuss the clues they found, so hide-and-seek was perfect. Curiel thought for a moment, then nodded and agreed to the proposal. Before the game started, Shangnan asked casually as if it was no big deal. "Where's your ball? How come I haven't seen you play with it lately?" Confusion covered Curiel's chubby little face. "What ball? I don't have a ball." Shangnan was shocked inside. The ball was gone just like that. Curiel stood by the wall, covering his eyes. "I'm gonna start counting now. You guys go hide quickly." The players scattered in all directions immediately. Dongmi reminded her while running. "Later, meet under the grape trellis next to the third flower bed in the backyard. Be careful not to lead Curiel there." When Curiel counted to 15, Shangnan ran into the villa. Guo Jiaojiao and Zhou Yu followed her in too. The living room and dining room of the villa were fully visible at a glance, so there was nowhere to hide there. But there was a large decorative fireplace next to the dining room. There was no fire burning in the fireplace. Zhou Yu gritted his teeth and crawled inside. Shangnan glanced at the floor-length curtains, then darted behind them to hide. "I'm coming to find you." Curiel's playful voice got closer and closer. He didn't stay in the yard for long, and walked straight into the villa. Curiel stood at the doorway, squinting and scanning the room. "I already see you. Come out quickly." Whether it was scared by his words or not, dust started rustling down from inside the fireplace. Curiel casually glanced inside the fireplace. Why is there no one here? After saying that, he grinned slyly and turned to leave. After wandering around the living room for a bit, he suddenly noticed the curtains move a little, even though there was no wind. Found another one. Curiel walked up to the curtains with a smile. For the person hiding in the fireplace, he could turn a blind eye. After all, they hid really carefully, and were taking the game seriously. But what's the point of hiding behind the curtains? Daring to perfunctory him. They were gonna die for that. He yanked the curtains open abruptly, but there was nothing behind them. Curiel was stunned for a second. He definitely didn't see wrong. Someone must have hidden here just now. Curiel's face darkened. He looked at the window that was left slightly open. It looked like he had figured something out. He huffed proudly. "Don't think I can't find you like this. You can't run away." Curiel stood on his tiptoes and pushed the window open. He checked every corner of the window thoroughly. He flew into a rage when he didn't find anyone. Shangnan was hiding under the dark green vintage European-style sofa. She listened quietly. When Curiel went somewhere else, she waited another 2 minutes before crawling out. The back of the curtains wasn't safe, so Shangnan switched hiding spots at the last second. Then she left the window slightly open, bent a rose branch, and propped the window open gently with it, making it look like someone had escaped through there. That was how Curiel got tricked. Shangnan called Zhou Yu in a low voice. "Curiel is gone. We have to get out of here quickly." While keeping an eye on the movement around her, she walked up to the fireplace. But as soon as she got close, a pungent smell of burning hit her nose. Shangnan stopped in her tracks. Her eyelids twitched wildly a few times. The burning smell got stronger and stronger, mixing with the smell of grease to emit a weird scent of cooked meat. A small piece of bone fell out of the fireplace with a clatter. There was still half-burnt flesh and blood stuck to it. Shangnan covered her mouth tremblingly. Her face went pale. She forced herself to calm down. "Shugui is dead. We can't lose anyone else." Shangnan turned around, ready to go find Guo Jiaojiao, who was hiding in the kitchen. But just then, Curiel's voice came from the corridor on the right. The kitchen was on the left, but if she went there now, she would definitely be spotted. There was no time to think more. Shangnan gritted her teeth and snuck out of the villa quietly. When she arrived at the meeting spot, the others were already there. When they heard that Zhou Yu had been burned to death in the fireplace, and Guo Jiaojiao hiding in the kitchen was also in great danger, everyone's eyes turned red. But they couldn't afford to delay any longer. Lin Zhong started talking about what he found last night. Dongmai and I were on the second floor, and we saw Curiel's older brother Kuli. He even glanced at Shangnan deliberately as he spoke. Kuli wasn't in a wheelchair. His legs are fine. "I definitely didn't see wrong." Shangnan frowned, her voice soft but firm. Kuli was sitting in a wheelchair, even though his legs were covered with a blanket. The right side was sunken and empty. "You didn't see wrong either." Kuli's leg probably grew back just these few days. He disguised himself really well, but his walking posture gave him away. "What do you mean, grew back?" Du Zitang looked completely shocked. "This isn't planting Chinese cabbage. Can you just grow things whenever you want?" Dongmai didn't answer this question, and brought up another suspicious point. Curiel's parents are close relatives who got married. Actually, their entire family does this. They seem to be superstitious about the purity of their bloodline. Xiaoqiang swallowed hard. But when close relatives get married, aren't their kids more likely to have birth defects? That's why everyone in their family doesn't live long. They know there's a problem but still keep doing it. So there must be a bigger benefit tempting them. Once we figure out the secret behind this, and the thing about Cooley's leg, I think we'll be able to clear the instance. Hearing Lin Zhang's speculation, Xiangnan took out the newspaper. I roughly know the reason. She unfolded it and put it in the middle of the group as she spoke, pointing her finger at the largest report on the page. A few decades ago, a local rich man who was on his deathbed suddenly regained the appearance of a middle-aged man overnight. When a reporter interviewed him, he said he had found the secret to immortality. Wang Tongtong was totally confused. What does this have to do with us clearing the instance? Dongmai's pupils shrank suddenly. He suddenly thought of a detail. Cooley's clothes. Lin Zhang didn't understand what he meant. Clothes. Cooley's clothes don't fit him. Dongmai was breathing rapidly. No matter if it's the top or the pants, everything is way too big for him. I thought it was just his habit before. Xiangnan closed her eyes for a second. Combining with the previous clues, I strongly suspect that the secret to immortality is related to pure bloodline. Do you guys remember I asked Curiel before the game started where his ball went? Curiel said he didn't have a ball at all. Du Zitang was standing close by, so he heard that. How could he not have a ball? Sun Yue died because of that ball. He's lying. But Xiangnan said Courier wasn't lying. Everyone froze for a second. Dongmai came to his senses and looked at Xiangnan. Xiangnan pressed her lips lightly and nodded in confirmation. I think that's the head of Courier's father. But we were too late. The head is gone now. Wang Tongtong and Xiaoqiang looked totally confused. They couldn't figure out how a ball turned into a head. Ling Chong was piecing the story together. Cooley's leg. Is it possible that their father cut it off? For the sake of immortality, their mother tried to stop him, only to get stabbed in the heart and killed. Then Courier fought back and killed his father, and cut off his head. We went around in circles and ended up back at the head again. Ling Chong came up with a wild idea. Cooley ate his father's head. That's why his leg recovered. Just cut his stomach open to check. Ling Zhong said it straightforwardly. Wang Tongtong and Xiaoqiang were shocked when they heard that. Do big shots always act so casually about this kind of stuff? Xiangnan frowned at this moment. Chances are both the mother and Courier are protecting the older brother. Xiangnan didn't object to Ling Chong's words, but she had a vague feeling something was off. They couldn't stay here for too long, in case Courier couldn't find anyone, and get angry to send the mother ghost to kill people. So after they finished discussing the clues, everyone split up again to find a place to hide. Xiangnan didn't plan to go into the villa. She found a relatively clean trash can. She was about to climb inside and just got in. Before she could put the lid on, someone grabbed her wrist. Xiangnan froze. No way she's that unlucky to be found by Courier already, right? She was thinking about how to coax Courier into a good mood. When she looked up, she met Bailey Wuxi's slightly lowered dark eyes. It's dirty, get out. Bailey Wuxi pulled her out by the wrist. Xiangnan was caught off guard as he hooked his hands under her arms and lifted her out. He didn't put her down. Instead, he carried her by his side and walked towards the villa. I can walk on my own. Xiangnan could even feel the outline of the man's chest and abs behind her. Her ears turned red as she kicked her thin legs, trying to get Bailey Wuxi to let her go. Stop moving! Bailey Wuxi's voice was deep. He simply wrapped one arm around Xiangnan's waist and squeezed the nape of her neck with the other hand. Xiangnan shivered. The redness from her ears spread all over her body. The nape of her neck was extremely sensitive. Bailey Wuxi noticed her strange reaction. He squeezed it again with great interest. He's not human. He's a ghost. A ghost. I can't beat him. And I can't piss him off. Xiangnan repeated these words in her head several times before she managed to hold back the urge to resist. Once I clear the level and leave here, I'll get back at him so hard. Bailey Wuxi brought Xiangnan back to the room. He put Xiangnan down with a look of disgust, then turned around and went to the bathroom. Xiangnan looked confused. What was that look for? He looked at her like she was some kind of trash. The bathroom door wasn't closed. The sound of water filling the bathtub could be heard. After a short while, most of Bailey Wuxi's shirt was wet. He walked out. Looking at the shirt clinging to his body outlining his attractive figure, Xiangnan hurriedly looked away. A slender, bony hand reached out in front of her. Pretending to unbutton her clothes, Xiangnan was startled. She stepped back several steps. What are you doing now? Bailey Wuxi frowned. The trash can was dirty, I need to wash you clean. Hearing that, Shang Nan quickly said there was no trash in the bin, and she wasn't dirty. But Bailey Wuxi stepped closer. He closed in on her and sniffed her. I can smell it. You smell bad. Shang Nan hesitated. She lifted her arm and sniffed her clothes. There was clearly no smell. Do ghosts have a more sensitive sense of smell? But she really hadn't taken a shower for several days. Ever since she got here, she never dared stay in the bathroom for long, for fear of running into something evil. Now that the topic of showering came up, Shang Nan felt uncomfortable all over. She desperately needed a hot shower to feel better. She felt a little embarrassed. She said in a small voice, "Then I'll wash myself." No peeking? Bailey Wuxi shrugged. He looked very serious. I don't have a habit of peeking. Making you take a shower? Is because I'm afraid you'll dirty my books when we read later. I really want to punch him. Shang Nan locked the bathroom door from the inside. She felt the water temperature, took off her coat. By accident, she caught a glimpse of the sink from the corner of her eye. There was a mushroom ornament facing her. Shang Nan blinked. It was a completely black mushroom. It should have been round and cute. Shang Nan actually quite liked it. But the black color indicated it was poisonous. Luckily, it was just an ornament. Shang Nan sped up her shower. Ever since she found the mushroom ornament, she always felt like there was a pair of eyes peeking at her in the room, sticky and burning, making her uncomfortable all over. When Shang Nan got dressed and came out, Bailey Wuxi was sitting on the sofa resting with his eyes closed. Hearing the sound, he opened his eyes and looked Shang Nan up and down. Bailey Wuxi had prepared a new set of clothes for her. Shang Nan didn't make a fuss about it. She changed into it directly. But after she came out, she realized something was wrong. This outfit seemed to be the same as what Bailey Wuxi was wearing today. Couple outfits? It's time to read. Bailey Wuxi loosened his tie. His Adam's apple bobbed. He was sitting on a single-seat sofa. Shang Nan had to walk to the side and sat on the long sofa. She kept her legs together. Her slender white fingers rested on her knees. She looked well-behaved and harmless. Bailey Wuxi lifted his eyes. Can you see the book from there? Then where should I sit? Shang Nan was completely confused. Why don't you sit over here? I like this spot. Bailey Wuxi unreasonably patted the armrest of the sofa. You can sit here. Shang Nan thought if her boyfriend acted like this, she would definitely kick him to the curb. But her sweet boyfriend is the best person in the world. He would never be as rude as Bailey Wuxi. After Shang Nan finished complaining in her head, she resigned herself to her fate and sat over. There's no point. A good lady doesn't fight with a male ghost. Bailey Wuxi opened the book. Shang Nan still couldn't understand the words in the book. Bailey Wuxi translated them and read to her. The story was very simple. It was about a human girl who fell in love with a ghost. The girl didn't know the ghost's identity at first. But after she found out, she didn't dislike him at all. Instead, she resolutely decided for her boyfriend to turn into a ghost too. Shang Nan looked speechless. She strongly suspected Bailey Wuxi was making it up. How could the book have this kind of content? There was deep obsession in Bailey Wuxi's eyes. Shang Nan, would you be willing to turn into a ghost for your boyfriend? No, but Shang Nan didn't dare say that out loud. What if this is a death condition? If she answered wrong, Bailey Wuxi would kill her. Shang Nan gave 2 dry laughs. Why do we have to change? I think one human and one ghost is pretty nice. But she was already cursing in her head. Nice my ass. When the girl finds out the other person isn't human, she should break up with him immediately. Better yet, hold a ritual to exorcise the evil spirit. The human world and the ghost world aren't connected. The girl has to die, so they can stay together forever. Bailey Wuxi had a stubborn look on his face. Shang Nan, will you... Right after he finished asking, Shang Nan suddenly felt something clamping around her neck, slowly cutting off her air supply. She struggled to move her eyes toward Bailey Wuxi, who had attacked her. To kill her over the smallest disagreement? There was a weird, excited glint in his dark eyes. His voice was dangerously alluring for the first time. Don't be scared, I'll make it quick. You won't be in pain for long. Let go. Shang Nan forced out a few words with great difficulty. She grabbed Bailey Wuxi's arm with all her might, but even with every ounce of strength she had, it was like a kitten scratching at him. It didn't budge the man at all. Shang Nan went completely limp, like a delicate, fragile doll. A clear tear rolled out of her eyes, blurring Shang Nan's vision. Don't cry, baby. A cold hand brushed across her cheek, wiping away the tear tenderly, and pressed a kiss to the corner of her eye. The next second, violent banging on the door suddenly rang out. Dong Mai's voice was full of anxiety. Shang Nan, are you in there? A flash of cruelty crossed Bailey Wuxi's eyes at being interrupted. He held the person in his arms tightly. In an extremely possessive gesture, "Get lost, Mr. Bailey Wuxi." Dongmai didn't leave outside the door. She knocked on the door again. "It's dinner time. Everyone is waiting for Shangnan to have dinner. You don't want her to go hungry, do you?" Dongmai was taking a gamble, betting that Bailey Wuxi felt differently about Shangnan and wouldn't bear to let her suffer. There was a soft click. The door opened a crack. Dongmai breathed a sigh of relief. It looked like her gamble had paid off. The room was dimly lit. The man's large hand was wrapped around the girl in his arms. Looking like both a demon and a guardian deity, Shangnan. Dongmai didn't dare to grab her directly. She stood 2 steps away and called out. The moment fresh air rushed into her nose. Shangnan snapped her eyes open. She was slumped over Bailey Wuxi's arm, gasping greedily for air. The man's long, slender-fingered hand patted Shangnan's back intermittently to help her catch her breath, but he looked very unhappy. "Remember to come back later." Dongmai noticed the strangulation marks on Shangnan's neck. She kept her composure and said, "Shangnan, everyone is waiting for you to eat. Hurry up and come downstairs with me." Knowing Dongmai was here to save her, Shangnan scrambled on all fours and climbed out of Bailey Wuxi's arms. She grabbed Dongmai's hand and left without looking back. After they left the 4th floor, Dongmai frowned and asked with concern, "What happened?" "I must have triggered a death condition." Shangnan carefully touched the strangulation marks on her neck. "Thank goodness you got here in time, Sister Dongmai. Otherwise, I'd probably be dead by now." Death condition. Dongmai was full of confusion. Bailey Wuxi isn't the boss of the Rose Castle dungeon at all. He's bound by the dungeon's power and can't kill people as he pleases. How could he have a death condition? Shangnan didn't know about this. She said honestly. "Bailey Wuxi told me a story and asked if I'd be willing to be like the female lead in the story and turn into a ghost for my boyfriend. I didn't give the right answer, so he attacked me." Seeing Dongmai's mouth twitch, Shangnan blinked. "What's wrong? Did I understand it wrong?" "It's nothing." Dongmai forced a smile. She really wanted to curse out loud. She had noticed Bailey Wuxi had a crush on Shangnan, but she had no idea he liked her so much he wanted to kill her, so he could keep Shangnan in the dungeon with him forever. Dongmai couldn't say this outright, so she could only hint at it. "Nan, stay away from Bailey Wuxi from now on. Didn't you say you have a boyfriend? You'd better get married soon after we get out." "Get married?" Shangnan was stunned. "Sister Dongmai, I just started my 1st year of college, and I've never even met my boyfriend in person. I even broke up with him right before I came in here." "Oh, you can get back together after breaking up. Doesn't getting married in college give you extra credits?" On the 4th floor, Bailey Wuxi sat on the sofa without moving, in the same position he was in when Shangnan left. "My wife doesn't want to die for me." The man's face was full of loneliness. A few strands of black mycelium drifted in the air, scrambling to open the door and chase after the person who left. The owner of the mycelium was too distracted to pay attention to them. His sharp-featured face held a sad, wronged expression. He moved his slender fingers lightly, and a black phone appeared out of thin air in his palm. The phone only had one contact saved under the note "wife." The last message from her was a breakup text. Bailey Wuxi clutched his chest in pain. "Is my wife really going to abandon me? I'll die without my wife." The mycelium strands froze for a moment. They glanced reluctantly at the door, then drifted back unwillingly, and landed on the man, snatching the phone away, and worked together to slap the moping man across the face. "Cry, cry, all you do is cry. Useless man, you can't even keep your wife. Why do you have to drag us down with you?" In the dining room, everyone saw Dongmai bring Shangnan back, and their faces lit up with joy. Since Curiel was present, it wasn't convenient for everyone to exchange information, so after finishing their meal quickly, they all gathered in Lin Chong's room. When they went upstairs, Du Zitang told Shangnan what happened after the hide-and-seek game. "We all got caught. Curiel heard you were taken away by Bailey Wuxi, and he wasn't angry about it." Shonan nodded. Actually, she was more worried about Guo Jiaojiao. Luckily, Guo Jiaojiao was okay. As soon as everyone entered the room, she said seriously that she had something to announce. "I saw Curiel's father's corpse." Lin Chong's expression turned serious. "Tell me the details." "After I split up with Shangnan and Zhouyu, I hid in the kitchen alone. There was an old ventilation duct there. I thought I'd hide there to get through the first round, then go meet up with everyone. But I didn't expect—" She paused, her fingers turning white as she clutched the corner of her clothes. "But I didn't expect to see the butler coming from the basement, pushing a corpse out, and Curiel was there too. He was holding Zhou Yu's head in his hand. Wang Tongtong covered her mouth in shock as she listened. Guo Jiaojiao continued. They sewed Zhou Yu's head onto that corpse. They were muttering something about feeding it to Kuli. Du Ziteng gasped. It all connects now. Lin Chong's face was grim. In a way, Zhou Yu's head became Curiel's father's head. Except for Sun Yue. I highly suspect the heads of the other people were also sewn onto. Dolbai took over! So there's more than one head in Kuli's stomach. We have to find the real one among them. Xiangnan glanced at the time. There's no time to waste. I suggest we act tonight. None of us triggered Curiel's death condition today. But as time goes on, the dungeon boss's power will only grow stronger. He'll probably start a massacre soon. But Xiangnan had a lingering doubt. Up until now, we've seen Curiel's parents kill people. We've been chased by the butler ghost. Xiangnan was even almost killed by Bailey Wuxi. But still, no one has seen Curiel, the actual boss, attack anyone. Is he really a ghost? Before Xiangnan could think more about it, there was barely any time left until midnight. Time is tight. Lin Chong adjusted his glasses. His voice was strangely reassuring. We'll need someone to draw away. The headless ghost. Dong Mai and I are veteran players. The two of us will go dump the head. Maybe I should come along too. Du Ziteng clenched his fists and made up his mind. Is there a ghost protecting Kuli? You guys probably won't have any free hands once the fight breaks out. I can help out if I come with you. After the plan was properly arranged, except for Dong Mai, Ling Chong, and Du Ziteng, who stayed in their own rooms, Xiangnan and the rest went to Xiaotiang's room. The headless ghost attacks anyone who is not in their own room. Ling Chong and the others can take this opportunity to go downstairs. The clock on the wall gave a soft chime. It was midnight. Outside, a harsh screech of an axe scraping against the ground suddenly rang out, followed by the heavy footsteps of the headless ghost. Everyone stepped back. Xiaoqiang had a look of utter vigilance on her face. She gripped a torn-off bed leg in her hand and stood in front of the other girls to shield them. The axe slammed hard into the door. A crack instantly split through the flimsy wooden door. The headless ghost kicked the door open with a violent kick. Xiaoqiang, who was closest to the door, had no time to defend herself. She was hit on the shoulder by the falling door. A large chunk of flesh was brutally scraped off. The stick in Xiaoqiang's hand fell to the ground. She clutched her wound, breaking out in cold sweat from the pain. Wang Tongtong reacted quickly, bending down to pick up the stick. Just as the headless ghost raised its axe to strike Xiaoqiang, she swung it with all her might at the headless ghost's arm. This blow did not deal any actual damage to the headless ghost at all. Wang Tongtong was sent flying by a kick from the headless ghost. Her back slammed hard against the wall. She fell to her knees and suddenly spat out a large mouthful of blood. I'll fight you to the death. Guo Jiaojiao's eyes turned red with rage. She tried to charge over barehanded, practically seeking death. Don't be reckless. Xiangnan grabbed her and held her tight. Even all of us together are no match for him. We can only beat him with wit, not force. Xiangnan noticed the fresh stitch marks on the headless ghost's neck. If the headless ghost has a weak point, it's definitely the neck, no question. Aren't you looking for your head? Xiangnan took a deep breath and shouted at the headless ghost that was about to attack Xiaoqiang again. Kill me, and you'll get your head back. Meanwhile, Dong Mai did a narrow backflip. Dodging the dagger swung at her. She suddenly saw the light. Ling Chong, we've all been tricked. The boss of this instance isn't Courier at all. It's Kuli. In the darkness, the boy in a suit tilted his head and smiled. You guessed right. Too bad you realized it too late.